Hi, everyone. Pardon if I can't make eye contact. Thank you all for coming today, and thank you for all of your kindnesses throughout Elliot's life to us. He wasn't able to meet many of you because of his immune deficiency. He met more healthcare providers than anyone. However, there was a normal rhythm to Elliot's life and days, and we had our routines as a family. In that, he was just like other kids. We've planned a celebration of life for Elliot today so we can journey together with him through a day, from waking up to going to sleep, through meals and playtime and all the things that toddlers do. Our hope is that you can capture some of his love today and reflect it back into the universe going forward. This bell here hangs in our home. Stuart's father brought it back from Vietnam in his military service. And Elliot didn't yet know its provenance, but it was an object of wonder to him that he discovered and wanted to explore, and you can see him on the front of the program doing so. His dad accommodated his demands to be raised so he could swing the clanger. I was too short for that. So as we ring this bell today, we signify the beginning of Elliot's day, his standing at his cribside, smiling, and vocalizing his desire to be airlifted into our arms.
To most people, Elliot didn't look sick. He had an NG tube taped to his face was probably the most physical part of it all. He had it at first when he was born. He was in the NICU for a little over a month. And then not again until he got sick several months later. Eating was one of his many skills that underwent progressions and then regressions as he would struggle with his health. And He was sort of ebb and flow, like many of his other skills also.
The upside to the NG tube was that Elliot didn't have to worry about swallowing all of the icky medicines we had to give him. As we symbolically take Elliot downstairs from his room for breakfast and morning medicines in the kitchen, we'd like to introduce you to Dr. Hannah Niebuhr. She's an immunologist at Children's Hospital who guided us in caring for Elliot from when she first suggested a diagnosis for him and began treating him last May, and then she sent us to transplant last month. She's been a comfort to us in her discernment and skill as a physician, and she was Elliot's greatest advocate in the healthcare system. She developed his prophylactic medicine regimen, as well as the diet and isolation precautions that allowed us to keep Elliot at home with us most of the time, because he was home with us most of the time, and we're really grateful for that. So please welcome Dr. Niebuhr.
So my name is Hannah Niebuhr. I had the privilege of being Elliot's immunologist. Dana and Stu asked me to say a few words about Elliot's diagnosis, which is a rare one. So Elliot had nemodeficiency disorder, which stands for NF-kappa B essential modulator. The other name for this is ectodermal dysplasia with anhidrosis and immune deficiency. Either way you say it, it is a mouthful, and it is a bit hard to understand because in this disorder, there is a pathway that the body uses to decide how we make our hair, our skin, our nails, but also how we recognize and respond to infections. And in people who have nemodeficiency syndrome, that pathway is there, it just doesn't work quite right. And so some people have more problems with not being able to sweat or having funny shaped teeth. And other people have a lot of trouble recognizing that an infection is there and being able to respond to it. The hard thing about your immune system not knowing when you're sick is that you can be really sick and get really sick and not look very sick, which is why Elliot needed all the precautions he needed. This is a rare disease, about 1 in 250,000 people. And what makes it even rarer is not everyone has the same symptoms, not everyone has the same form, which makes it very hard to know what is the right path to take. But Elliot was getting sick from the bacteria that lived within his own body, which is why his only chance at a full life was moving forward with a bone marrow transplant. And despite all of the challenges Elliot faced, all the time he spent in the hospital, he still had joy. He was as unpredictable as his disease in the way he would get everything tangled in the hospital as he would do circles around the crib or randomly throw himself off of various surfaces knowing that his parents were going to be there to catch him. And they were always there for him. And so we remember Elliot, and I will always remember Elliot and all the joy he had, even in all of the dark things that happened to him.
I am reading now from Things Fall Apart by the Buddhist nun Pema Chodron. Things falling apart is a kind of testing and also a kind of healing. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problem, But the truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together and they fall apart. And then they come together and fall apart again. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, for relief, for misery, for joy. When we think that something is going to bring us pleasure, we don't know what's really going to happen. When we think something is going to give us misery, we don't know. Letting there be room for not knowing is the most important thing of all. We try to do what we think is going to help, but we don't know.
So early in Elliot's life, our friend Paige told us that children learn to move and move to learn. And so she helped us in a lot of ways as we prepared for Elliot, but most of all, she suggested toys to encourage Elliot to move and learn and play. And Stuart made some of those toys and objects for him: a gymnasium, which is downstairs, a pull-up bar and cruising station, and a busy board. In some of them, admittedly, and others can say that they were a smidge dangerous in some ways. If you look at them, they came from objects within our home, but you could also say that they held a measure of appropriate risk.
He had so many different kinds of toys and objects that he liked over time, and he often interacted with a toy, especially a new one, by interrogating it. He would sort of flip it over, and he would do that again and again, as if that in and of itself was a kind of play to him, that discovery. This is a cactus that he really liked because I think it's loud and obnoxious. His Aunt Donnie found this from maybe a TikTok link or something, but he would push these buttons. They're like worn out from his little index finger. I'm gonna give you a taste of this. And he would delight in being able to be a little DJ and like. Yeah, well, maybe you can see why it's a TikTok meme, but he loved it much, especially in the hospital, and entertained many of his doctors and nurses as well.
And it helped with impromptu dance parties. We have a video montage to share with you so you can get a sense of Elliot as he explored the world, his mannerisms, and what he was like. And our friend Joy recommended a group called Weberized, and they graciously sifted through so many of our photos and videos and helped select what to share. And we're not going to play the entire video because it is a little long, but we'll play it downstairs so you can see the rest of it. But please enjoy.
Super speed, double time.
That's your mom. Yeah, that's
Elliot! What you doing? You getting it? You getting it? What you up to? Yeah, what you doing? Is that fun?
Super Soaker, baby! Baby's got hiccups. You're so tough. Taking a video of us? Hey, Elliot. 1 week.
Hi, little boy. How you feeling? You're very awake right now. Baby's first bath. You got the hiccups? Say good morning, Daddy.
Elliot.
It's you I like. It's not the things you wear.
Go, Logan.
It's
Go,
not the
Logan,
way
go.
you do your hair. But it's you I
This
like.
baby is
way
between
you
feedings,
are
but
right
very
now.
awake.
The way down deep
And nurse
inside
buddy?
you. Not the
Look like
things
you're
that
set.
hide you.
Get your game face on.
Not your
This is the first
toys.
time for Mom you took a bottle.
They're just beside you.
You ready to come home? Can we
But
pick up the
it's
baby
you
for the first time without
like.
words?
Every part of you.
Okay, let's get baby's
Your
first milk
skin.
at home.
Your eyes.
Okay, bye, Mom.
Your
Bye, baby.
feelings. Whether old
Whoa.
or new. I hope that you'll remember. Even when you're feeling blue.
Having some poop feelings.
That it's you I like. It's you yourself.
Oh boy.
It's you.
Those who are sleeping go to
It's
sleep.
you. I
Say, I love you, baby. Yeah.
I hope that you'll remember.
You look so cute.
Even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like, it's you yourself, it's you, it's you.
Oh, you're making videos. Why do you do that with your sneaky videos?
Go down to Logan Town, look up Ruby Bates. Don't call the police, but they won't help none. 2 tons of turtle doves from out of state. Just tell her I sent you for the discount rate.
All right, Mama help you.
My man with a moving van's looking for a job to do. He'll work for 2. But he'll change you. Blue eye on the left hand side, hazel on the right. He'll cut right through with a second sight.
Oh, you found out.
Is he on the up and down and the back and forth? Yeah.
All right. Talk to you later. It's your birthday, buddy.
But it doesn't matter anymore. Do just what you did before.
It's fun for you.
Till you realize words go la 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 la.
Oh, do a little dance. Oh, you're so cute.
In the middle of a bath. In the middle of a bath, I call your name. Oh, you're cold.
You two are sweethearts.
Oh, come on. Oh, almost. It's okay, lovey. There's a lot under. Sorry, I kind of got lost there.
We're at his morning nap. Is the part of the day we're at right now.
Elliot loved napping, and he was comforted by a binky, of which he had one style in a variety of colors, and then muslin blankets. We've got one up here. Because he didn't sweat, he only used these like thin single weight blankets, and he had a lot of them in a lot of different colors. And people would say, well, which is his favorite one? And I was like, he likes them all. You know, he's not particular. And after we transitioned him from the bassinet in our room to the crib in his, he developed this adorable way of, soothing, where he would take his blanket and tuck it in the top of his binky. And sometimes, you'd be like, oh, here, let me help you, because, sometimes you need help. And he's like, no, no, no. Part of the soothing is just the repetition of over and over doing that again.
He had a kind of routine or rhythm that helped him get ready for naps. So we would darken the room by closing the shades and turn on a white noise. We were playing that, those wave sounds as you came in today. You might have noticed that. And we took that with us even at the hospital. We found that was one of the strategies we could use to keep some of his routines happening when we were not in our house. We'd sit in the glider with Elliot in our hand, and he would do his thing with the blanket and the pacifier. And sometimes he was like excited for his nap. He'd even go like hee hee, he'd kind of giggle a little bit, and sing for a few minutes before we set him down in his crib to go to bed.
And one of the songs we sang was "What a Wonderful World," and we got kind of started singing it was during one hospital stay. Like at Children's, in the little lobby on the 4th floor, there's a free box, and Stu picked up this little board book for What a Wonderful World, and so we got started singing it. And so we've got a YouTube video that's actually shows our board book as sung by Louis Armstrong, and I usually put him down for morning nap, and so this is one that I would sing to him.
What a Wonderful World, based on the song by Bob Thiel and George David Weiss, sung by Louis Armstrong, and illustrated by Tim Hopgood.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, What a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah.
Elliot flipped through that book a lot faster than Louis Armstrong sang it. But by the time we flipped through it a second time, we kind of caught back up. So I would hear Louis Armstrong in my head as I was singing it, but I know that's not what I sounded like. But so Elliot and I often went to occupational therapy at Creighton Pediatric near Lakeside for feeding therapy in the mornings, usually twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And his occupational therapist is Lisa Jordan. And over the 14 months we knew her, we made, I counted them up, 55 such visits to see her. And it was a 30-minute drive each way, and I added up the miles. It was over 1,700 miles that Elliot and I drove to see Lisa. But she had such a wonderful connection with Elliot and was an amazing teacher to both of us. And after our visits, I would come home and teach Stuart or Elliot's teacher Abby or my mom or father-in-law what we'd learned so that we could help Elliot do better at mealtimes. Lisa also nominated Elliot for a Make a Miracle, which is a wish granted by a Creighton student group called Jays for Pediatrics. And Elliot was selected for the honor, but he died 5 days before receiving his wish. However, the student group made donation in Elliot's memory to local organizations, including Children's Hospital. And our family was able to attend their dedication yesterday at Creighton Pediatric, and they had a little ceremony. And, to us, it's just another way that Elliot's love is multiplied in the world. Lisa knew Elliot's love and his little forehead nuzzles. And that's why we asked her here to speak today.
Okay, I too may have to stay on my paper. Looking for my paper. I'll find it. Sorry. Okay. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to read it with my swollen eyes and bad eyes. On January 14th, 2021, I met 2-month-old Elliot and his mother, Dana. Elliot was referred to me by a colleague here in town. My colleague called me and stated, "Lisa, I think you can help this child and his mom. Can you please see him?" Little did I know that, yes, I could in fact help Elliot and his family, but they too, in return, would help me. This was the start of a beautiful relationship and friendship that I had the honor to share with Elliot, Dana, and Stu. Maybe I just stopped touching it. Okay, the first time I met Dana, she had a presence about her. She was concerned like every newborn mom I see, but there was something that set her apart. Dana was genuine, smart, incredibly strong, and gentle. Her love and grace could be felt in the room. Dana was so determined to help Elliot that day and do the one thing that parents can do for their child, which is to provide nutrition, support, growth, and optimize their child's well-being and development. Dana and Stu continued with that deep level of commitment and determination throughout Elliot's life. This never wavered for them, not once. Dana and Stu would carry out every recommendation at home and continually ask me for more. They became innovative and creative, utilizing their own resources to help Elliot enhance his developmental skills and be the best he could be. Dana would share stories about how resourceful Stu was at home when it came to helping Elliot. We often would giggle. Stuart's first creation was a baby gymnasium that he designed and built. Elliot spent a lot of time playing with this device as a baby, working on infant developmental skills, and you saw that in the video. Stu also created a pull-up bar made with copper so Elliot could work on his strength and balance skills. Stu built a cruiser device made from wood and old sewing machine parts to keep Elliot entertained in learning activities while being busy that he didn't even realize he was working. Stu's most recent creation was a busy board for Elliot. He made it from cabinet latches, faucets, handles, hinges, and doors that he built. All of Stu's creations exactly met Elliot's deep drive and desire to understand how the world worked. Elliot loved to explore new concepts and problem-solve tasks, even when they were hard. He truly was a progressive thinker. Elliot clearly, I believe, inherited this from his father. Elliot had so much love and support surrounding him to be the best he could be. Dana would also share stories about Aunt Donnie, getting him the things he wanted, like baguettes, fig anise biscuits, and toys that even he didn't know he needed. Dana would take everything she learned in therapy and share it with all of Elliot's caregivers to ensure everyone was helping and doing the best for him. Elliot and Dana were good at attracting friends everywhere they went. At therapy, Dana would come in with a smile on her face, greeting everyone she met. Her friendliness and openness to share her life with other families left a lasting impression and offered hope to those in the waiting room. Even on hard days, Dana still came in with joy in her heart. Elliot's brilliant blue eyes and sweet smile would captivate everyone that he would walk by. I recall everyone wanting to stop to say hi to Elliot. He was a shining star at our clinic. I believe this trait he got from his mom. My relationship with Elliot and his family grew and evolved during the 12 months that we were together. I saw Elliot and his mom twice a week. As Dana said, she informed me that we saw each other 55 visits to be exact. I didn't know about the miles. That's a lot. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Dana and Elliot would make their commute out to West Omaha to attend feeding therapy. Dana would sing Elliot a sweet little song about going to therapy to help pass the time while driving. And don't ask me to sing it. I'm not a good singer like Dana. During our time together, Elliot addressed many feeding challenges and worked to achieve feeding milestones that were important for his overall health and development. We also had lots of celebrations and head nuzzles too that Elliot would so endearingly share with me. Elliot truly would amaze us by learning skills he was determined to achieve, even though some skills were not expected for his age or were difficult for him. Elliot's determination was just like Dana and Stu's. Elliot was so motivated to learn and master skills by his own internal press. Skills like straw drinking from a young age, holding his cup independently, self-feeding with his fingers, eating beautiful homegrown blended foods his mom made, as well as becoming really efficient with eating. And best of all, he achieved swallowing safely. Not easy to do, but Elliot accomplished all that during our time together. Although feeding could be difficult for Elliot, and at times there were regressions, he remained determined, enthusiastic, and found pleasure in eating as well as the experience of mealtime. Elliot was proud to demonstrate what he learned and achieved during our sessions. His beautiful blue eyes would look over at me to exchange a communication I believe to be, "Lisa, aren't you so proud of me?" And that I was and continue to be. What a joy and gift it was for me to spend precious time twice a week with Elliot and Dana. Elliot made an everlasting impression on me. Sorry. It taught me many lessons as a clinician. The lessons you don't learn in a book or in a class. I learned that sometimes children need to eat in their own non-traditional ways. To set aside our own cultural beliefs, ideals, routines, and norms around mealtime. That yes, the monster mushroom teether that he had, he would flip it inside out and feed that and work on self-feeding with that. And he put his little veggie melts in there. That sometimes when you get uncomfortable feelings, it's completely acceptable that you stand in your high chair to relieve the pressure from your tummy and legs while continuing to drink from your honey bear. And if you need a bit of a mental break, you let mom read your favorite paper books while putting food all over them, making a playful mess. And lastly, you always utilize all kinds of resources, modalities, opportunities during mealtime to enrich the meaning behind it all. Elliot and his family have reminded me to make the best out of every day and every opportunity, to remain courageous and hopeful when presented with difficult circumstances or decisions. And best of all, to live in joy and love, no matter how hard it gets. To know and work with Elliot, Dana, and Stu has truly made me a better person and a clinician. I forever have been touched by Elliot and his family. It's been an honor and a blessing to walk this journey with them. Thank you.
After lunch, we got to play. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in the afternoon. It was more exciting for him because he got a break from us. We normally were able to arrange for somebody else to come play with him. There was a small cohort of folks that we relied on so much. So the week was bookended with Papa Lee, and with Grandma Sue, and Abby covered Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for us, and he was so excited when he'd hear the door open and look around to see which one of those fun people he was going to get to spend time with. Abby taught us a lot about how to support Elliot, and as well as teaching him, and taught us about organization and encouraged us for self-care. We were really focused on Elliot a lot of the time. Later on, she'll be reading one of the books that she gave to Elliot. We invited everybody to wear your favorite color today, and I'm curious, what is your favorite color? Go ahead and tell us what you've worn. Okay, yeah, I heard quite a few blues, but that was in the spirit of Elliot's. I think really he loved everybody's favorite colors, and the people who took care of him always thought that their favorite color was his favorite color. That had a way of happening. They would report to us, "Oh, Elliot's favorite color is red," or "Elliot's favorite color is green." So that's some fun that we're trying to share with you today.
So Elliot also loved stickers and window clings, and that was also a discovery by his Aunt Donnie. And so he would point to a sticker, most of them were animals, and then he would look at you and require that you produce the appropriate animal sound. So that's why we asked you guys to pick a sticker today. And if you missed the stickers, that's okay, but we're gonna invite you to stand and voice the animal sticker that you chose. If you didn't get a sticker, just think of your favorite animal. But first, I thought I'd share with you some lessons I've learned as someone who's recently been practicing their animal sounds. That lots of animals make roars, and Elliot could do like a good roar. But you know, a lot of the aquatic animals, in my opinion, go glub, glub, glub. There's a lot of horse-like creatures, zebras, etc. They go neigh. There's a lot of reptiles. We just say hiss or s. And alligators and sharks chomp, and bunnies hop, hop, hop. But you know, you can. Bunnies also say nothing at all. But Elliot did love a trumpeting elephant, and we thought he'd get a kick out of a room full of animals like you. So, if everybody wants to stand as they're able, and think of your animal, and then we're all gonna just voice our animal. I'm gonna give you a ready, set, go. Okay. Ready? You guys ready? Set, go. Thank you. Thank you all for doing that. All right, we really appreciate your humoring us, and we're gonna let Abby go now.
I'm Abby. I was Elliot's teacher and caregiver and friend. But most of the time it felt like we were colleagues. We did lots of things together, playing and singing. But one of Elliot's favorite things to do was to read. I'm going to read a book that I love very much, and I got him for his transplant. It's called All the World. The author is Liz Garton Scanlon, and the Caldecott Honor Medalist for illustrations is Marla Frazee. Rock, stone, pebble, sand, body, shoulder, arm, hand, a moat to dig, a shell to keep, all the world is wide and deep. Hive, bee, wings, hum, husk, corn, cob, yum, tomato blossoms, fruit so red, All the world's a garden bed. Tree, trunk, branch, crown, climbing up and sitting down. Morning sun becomes noon blue. All the world is old and new. Road, street, track, path. Ship, boat, wooden raft. Nest, bird, feather, fly. All the world has got its sky. Slip, trip, stumble, fall. Tip the bucket, spill it all. Better luck another day. All the world goes around this way. Table, bowl, cup, spoon. Hungry tummy, supper soon. Butter, flour, big black pot. All the world is cold and hot. Spreading shadows, setting sun. Crickets, curtain, day is done. A fire takes away the chill. All the world can hold quite still. Nanas and papas and cousins and kin, piano, harp, and violin, babies passed from neck to knee. All the world is you and me. Everything you hear, smell, see, all the world is everything. Everything is you and me. Hope and peace and love and trust. All the world is all of us. Thank you.
Abby was so good at always telling Elliot the authors and illustrators of the books. That made me start doing that. And sometimes I've overheard her say, "Oh, that was written and illustrated by so-and-so. That's impressive. That's a big job to write and illustrate the book." Most days, Elliot's weekly caregivers put him down for his afternoon nap. And there were a variety of songs he delighted in. And so we're going to invite you to join us in singing a song to Elliot if you liked, as I would sing it to him. And if you want to stand with us, and the church asks that you please don your mask to sing, but we'd love for you to sing with us, "This Little Light of Mine." If you want to stand up, that would be awesome. You ready? All right. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Shine all over Omaha. I'm gonna let it shine. Shine all over Omaha. I'm gonna let it shine. Shine all over Omaha. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Thank you. I heard you, John Porter.
At dinner, Elliot really loved to eat. He was adventurous in what he was willing to sample. Mom provided breast milk until it was necessary to switch to non-dairy formula. But once he started, with the solids, he was he was off. He would love to eat with us, and he loved to eat from our plate. He liked to be a big kid. He knew when he was in the high chair, it was his time. And he made frequent demands, pointing and grunting at things he would want, like insistently, even if there was like nothing there. It was bewildering. He was very insistent too. When he didn't want something, he would push it away. Even if he couldn't quite reach it, he would keep pushing it away until you moved it out of his sight.
He wasn't, we worked on mealtime communication, and he wasn't always proficient, but he did seem to have mastered all done. And he would get really happy, like, all right, get me on the side chair. Sweet potatoes were his first food. He had that with Lisa. Lisa was actually just she thought, oh, we'll just get him used to a spoon. And he's like, yeah, I know what to do with a spoon. What? Like, put something on it. She's like, well, are you sure he's ready? And off he went with sweet potatoes. He liked other orange foods, like butternut squash and pumpkin. And he liked things, he graduated quickly to things with texture. Even though he didn't get his first tooth until he was 14 months, and they were just two little top fangs. He loved these freeze-dried melty discs, they were apple pumpkin flavored. And then he kind of moved on. Aunt Donnie had brought over a baguette, and that was a challenge, but he was up for it. There was a lot of mastication and just slobber to get it to disintegrate. But it gave him a real sense of accomplishment. And I think there's a picture of him with a baguette in the program today.
He wasn't afraid of bold flavors. He'd recently started with marinara, and he seemed to like Mr. C's pizza sauce. It was his number one slot as we went into the hospital. We found its secret ingredient is actually anise, which explains why he also loved these anise seed biscuits that Aunt Donnie found for him. We have assembled some of the foods he loved, inspired by his favorite ingredients, for you to try downstairs. And so we invite you to explore, join with him in exploration of that. Next, Aunt Donnie's going to read an ode to marinara by Shel Silverstein.
Oh, how I love Italian food. I eat it all the time. Not just 'cause how good it tastes, but 'cause how good it rhymes. Minestrone, cannelloni, macaroni, rigatoni, spaghettini, scallopini, escarole, braccio, insalata, cremolata, manicotti, marinara, carbonara, shrimp francese, bolognese, ravioli, mostaccioli, mozzarella, tagliatella, fried zucchini, rollatini, fettuccine, green linguine, tortellini, tetrazzini. Oops, I think I split my genie.
So after dinner, we would go to walking time. He loved all of his walks. He'd load up into his stroller. We had a cover for it too, so we'd go out when it was pretty cold or raining also. We normally went past Duchenne's campus and around the great towers of Cathedral. That was our typical route, and from there you could catch a vista of the western sky. Often we were there around sunset, so that's how he knew the world in a part. Elliot was normally busy looking around and fidgeting with a toy on those walks. Sometimes he'd kick his feet up and down, and our return path would bring us along a lot of cracks and sidewalks through neighborhood streets. He'd let us know if he needed something along the way, if his binky, if he'd spit it out, or if his hood had come down and was eclipsing his view. He needed adjustments.
I'm reading Christina Rossetti's Caterpillar. brown and furry, caterpillar in a hurry, take your walk to the shady leaf or stalk or whatnot, which may be the chosen spot. No toad spy you, hovering bird of prey pass by you, spin and die, to live again a butterfly.
After our walk, it was time to take Elliot upstairs for a bath, and he loved this part of the day, as you can see in the video. Water play brought him great joy, whether that was in the summer in a pool. I also took him to aquatherapy at some points, but he just loved splashing around. I think he also enjoyed, we did this together as a family, the walk, the bath, the reading, the bedtime, the songs, and so he got undivided attention from us in the bath. You wouldn't believe the big crate of bath toys that we have because his father also seemed to love bath time. You know, from his first bath in the NICU, his nurse, her name was Teresa, was his daytime nurse usually, and she marveled at how Elliot loved the bath. She said, he's the only kid I've ever taken care of that doesn't cry when it's bath time. And that was just Elliot, you know, he was comforted by the water, and it was just one of his trademarks. He tolerated and adapted to a lot of situations throughout his life, whether that was the helmet, you saw the helmet on his head, that was through the summer. You can imagine what that's like if you don't sweat, you're wearing a helmet. You know, he had the NG tube, and, you know, about 25% of his life he was confined to a hospital room. A lot of times he had an infection, and we couldn't leave the room, but he was okay.
When we first started bath time, we got to take turns with him in the bath, which was fun for us. It was all kind of like drawing straws.
He was really slippery, so we thought it made more sense to get in there and put him on our legs.
As he got more able to sit up and stuff, he would command the whole tub, sort of going from head to foot in pursuit of his toys and things. He was always amazed by the flowing water. It didn't ever become common to him, and the vortex when it was time to clean up and finish. So.
Johnny's going to read again. This is Maggie and Millie and Molly and May by E.E. Cummings. Maggie and Millie and Molly and May went down to the beach to play one day. And Maggie discovered a shell that sang so sweetly she couldn't remember her troubles. And Millie befriended a stranded star whose rays 5 languid fingers were. And Molly was chased by a horrible thing which raced sideways while blowing bubbles. And May came home with a smooth round stone, as small as a world and as large as a lone. For whatever we lose, like a you or a me, it's always ourselves we find in the sea.
We are a little bit extra as this service continues on.
Elliot was extra.
That was our style, yeah. Elliot was extra. We wanted to talk to you about the books he loved, though. We would do any maintenance he might need for his NG tube, and then he'd get a coat of Aquaphor over all his skin. And then he'd get to pick out a few books. He'd mastered page turning, which made it even more fun for us to join with him. He started conducting the reading instead of us getting to be in control. He liked Little Green Frog and Little Blue Boat, these little flap books that are. He liked Shark Block from Uncle Scott and Aunt Jerry. He read that one a lot at very fast pace. I still don't know about all the sharks that are in that book. And he loved Dora's Valentine Adventure from the Doll Family, which had little flaps that were really easy to just rip right off.
And he learned, no, no, no.
We had a lot of books that he didn't like, which was kind of fun too. We would try them on him every once in a while just to see his reaction. He'd be like, get that out of here. There's a strong sense for censorship, I guess.
Most recently, we made a book of Elliot's favorite people for the transplant. We weren't sure if he'd get to see anyone, so it was a book of people, and it was like, he was like, oh my God, I know what's in this book. I know these people. And he would like page through it like endlessly, and like if you tried to be like, okay, all done, he'd like squawk like a pterodactyl and was like, I'm not done yet with this book. And he was so excited to get to the last page, which had a picture of him, and then his, I would spell his name for him, and he would point to the letters and expect you to say E-L-L-I-O-T, Elliot. And then he would just laugh like he knew that you were, like you were spelling it, he knew you were spelling his name. Elliot loved getting new books, and we often came home from a hospital stay with a new selection for his library. And that's why we did ask for memorials for board books at Children's in his name, so that other kids at the hospital could, have the same joy. And we'll prepare a book plate sticker so recipients know that the book was given from Elliot and, a fellow bibliophile.
It may seem impossible to find the appropriate words to say to Elliot's family. There are no words that can do justice to such a profound loss. The hardest, but also the most rewarding part of being human is to love. We may experience great joy and fulfillment, but also intense grief and sorrow at the loss of a loved one. But the depth of that sorrow and loss is matched by the extent of your love for them. As Khalil Gibran said, the deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. We would like now to present an opportunity for anyone to say a personal farewell to Elliot, and that can be publicly or privately. We'll have a space privately in a minute or two, or longer. But most importantly, this is an opportunity to share memories of the life and personality of Elliot, and in doing so, possibly provide some comfort to all of those who loved him. Now, I have to confess that when I came in here, there was something I wanted to ask them about the order of service and what we were doing, and I had this feeling I'm forgetting something, and I had it written down right here. And I wasn't sure how they envisioned this public part of the sharing here. Yeah, that's what I was hoping. If we have a microphone, one of the ushers could come and if you could just stand up and talk into the microphone. So if you'd like to do that, now's the time to stand up. There we go. One over here, couple. Can one of the ushers come and help carry this around?
Okay, I'm Leslie Schell. I am Elliot's G-Mama, Stuart's mother. And for 10 days, I got to sleep right next to Elliot in his home. I was staying there, and so I would hear him move. He didn't cry. He wasn't really sick yet. So I would go in, and he would just give me the most beautiful smile. it was so wonderful. He was like, "Oh, you come to get me out of my crib." Change his diaper and take him downstairs. So we would start to play, hoping his mom and dad would get a little rest for once. You know, normally they were up with the baby. But one morning I had started singing and reading him books, and he just looked at me and put his hand over my mouth. Like, it's a little too early in the morning, G-Mama, for the singing. So I'll never forget that. He definitely had a mind of his own.
Hi, I'm Paige, a friend of Elliot, Dana, Stu. We were lucky enough to get to come over and visit Elliot. James had made him a weaning table. We were so excited to give it to him. And we brought our daughter Daphne over, a fellow book lover. And I had the opportunity to interact and hold Elliot, who is nonverbal for the most part, but his eyes communicated so much love and joy. And I am forever grateful to have had that time. Love you. And I did. I got many nuzzles.
Hi, I'm Dana's aunt, her dad's sister, and I got one opportunity to go over and visit with Elliot. I had tried before, but then I'd be sick, or, I couldn't make it. And that one time I was feeling really good, I called up and they said, well, come on over. Grandma was going to be there, and I got to meet him. And I instantly fell in love. Those blue eyes, and his determination, and he would walk around they had a little play area that was like in a big circle, and then he'd walk around and bang and make all the noise all the way around. And then he came over, and there was a drawer in the end table, and he was determined to get into that drawer. And of course, it wasn't stuff that he should have. And so I'd shut it, and he'd come back and try to pull it again. He was so determined. And he was, like I said, I just fell in love with him. And I'm so, so blessed to have gotten that time. It was such a short time, but it was a blessing. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Claire. I was one of the only children that baby Elliot got to see, and I was just really lucky to see him and know him. Thanks.
Anyone else? Oh, I missed somebody? No.
Hi. Hi, Stuart. Hi, Stuart. Stuart and I have been friends for over 15 years, and we work together. Stuart is by far the most amazing human I've ever met in my entire life. As you know, that's not an opinion. And Stuart and I often connect in different cities that we're traveling for work. And I've made Stuart drive up to the top of a 14,000-foot mountain and a variety of other things. So this was not surprising when I met Elliot, and Stuart and I took him out for a run outside. And the look on Dana's face was, do you two know what you're doing? And the look on Elliot's face was the same. And so we took him out for a jog around his neighborhood, and no one fell down, and we didn't get run over, so it was a successful outing. So, and it's just was a pleasure to have met Elliot and be in Dana and Stuart's life.
Anyone else?
Hi, geez, I'm Katie Krause. I know Dana from work, and was really consider COVID and our lack of getting to be a part of Dana and Stuart Elliot's life was really disappointing. Paige had a baby, I had a baby, Paige had a baby, and then Elliot was born like all really within a year of each other. And my memory for Elliot is that I never got to meet him. I followed the Carrying Bridge like a stalker. I'm always like, oh, somebody posted something, Stu posted that 7 minutes ago. I read it already, but I didn't really comment very much, but I was one of those silent stalkers, like I'm guessing many of you probably were as well, and really appreciated the opportunity to glimpse into his life. But Dana actually came to help me. I, during COVID, bought way more plants than I should have, and had no idea what I bought them for or where I was gonna put them. So I sent Dana a message like, could you come to my house and like, help me figure out where to put all these plants? I know there's like, I don't know where to put them. And there was one, a Lenten rose, that she was telling me I should really get this plant and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have this hellebore. And she's like, that is a Lenten rose. And those actually came up the weekend after Elliot passed at our house. And I don't usually take very good care of my plants. We do a survival of the fittest mode at our house. And all of them have come back, and they're doing really well. And those plants are really special to us now. You were pregnant with Elliot when you helped me plant those. So those are gonna be a little more special, and I think I'm gonna take a little bit better care of them than I have in the past.
This is not your last chance to say something. There's a whole after session downstairs. So if you think of something, you can do it then. So what I'm going to suggest now is that we spend a few moments in silence. In a room this large with this big a group of people, a lot of people are coming from very different spiritual perspectives. So we ask that you take this silent period just to add whatever you need or want in whatever way is appropriate for you, for Elliot. The peace of the running water to you, the peace of the flowing air to you, the peace of the shining stars to you, and the peace of the quiet earth to you. Amen.
Sometimes it felt a little bit like the home stretch with Elliot, too. So after books each night, we'd rock and sing some songs. He loved being rocked, especially by his mom and grandmothers. UNMC didn't have rockers for us to use while we were there in our most recent stay, and that's why we've created an opportunity to donate and for Elliot to buy some gliders for them that they can use in those hospital rooms. Elliot loved to be sung to at any time, and it was a comfort to him through needle pokes and other hard transitions that he faced.
There was once a phlebotomist, actually, just this is an aside, who often for needle pokes we sang "She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain." And after we started in on "She'll Be Coming," she's like, "Oh, I remember you guys." And I was like, so singing was our final family activity of the day, and we would each offer up a song and sing before putting Elliot down. And you've heard a fair number of his songs today, but we've got another really special one. Our good friend Trility wrote a poem to us and is going to read that, and then Tara will sing this song, "Tooraloo-raloo-roll," which is a song first sung to Elliot by his papa, and then soon taken up by everyone. And incidentally, Trility's mom sang that same song to her as a little girl, so we thought it appropriate that they kind of go together.
It has been an absolute blessing, I want to say, coming to know Elliot, but even more than that, it's been a blessing to see what amazing parents Dana and Stuart are. So being witness to that has been a true, true blessing. So I wrote this for Elliot and you guys, obviously. Maurice Sendak, who you all know, wrote "Where the Wild Things Are." Maurice Sendak wrote, "A baby makes the mother and father. Otherwise, they are just plain people. You were made the day your son was born, and undone the day he died. Did you ever truly understand the sun until you saw the light from his ever-happy eyes? Did you truly understand the moon until you spent those long nights by his side? You were his moons. A lucky little planet of a boy with 2 satellites like you, exalting in every rotation of his needs and joys. Such a perseverant boy. He showed more strength than many grown-ups I know. To be so tiny, sometimes so sick, yet heal the fissures of grief in all our skin. I stand at the heavy bush of grief, trying to pick just right words, like just right berries, that perfect burst of juice, the perfect phrase for this place. But where are the lullabies for the babies we can no longer embrace?" Sorry. There are no perfect words, no perfect berries, but still we fill our mouths and hands, stained and strained and trying. Let him lay his little shadow down and wrap him tight in woolly starlight. Forever our throats will sing, "Tooraloo-raloo-roll, goodbye for now, I'll be seeing you."
Just
So that was often the last song of the day. And then I'd tell Elliot good night. Oftentimes I would, recap the day. I'd say something like, "Oh, we had such a nice day. A bunch of people made animal noises for you," or kind of sum up like a highlight of the day. And then I'd say, "Night, night, puppy. Sweet dreams. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Mommy and Daddy love you."
Goodness, I have done a lot of funerals, and how many of you, this is the first time, raise your hand if this is the first time you ever did animal song. So I've been sitting here listening to all this wonderful dialogue and storytelling and everything, and it seems to me like these two people have put all of this together for their beloved son, and I kept thinking, Elliot's telling me to please ask everyone to just acknowledge it with a little round of all their work. That wasn't in the script, but but I think it's very well noted. Centuries ago, the Roman philosopher Seneca wrote, "In the presence of death, we must continue to sing the song of life. We must be able to accept death and go from its presence better able to bear our burdens and to lighten the load of others. Out of our sorrows should come understanding. Through our sorrows, we join with all of those before us who have had to suffer and all of those who will yet have to do so. Let us not be gripped by the fear of death. If another day be added to our lives, let us joyfully receive it, but let us not anxiously depend on our tomorrows. Though we grieve the deaths of our loved ones, we accept them and hold on to our memories as precious gifts. So let us make the best of our loved ones while they are with us, and let us not bury our love with death." We are profoundly glad that Elliot Orion Schell lived. We are glad that we saw his face and smile and felt the glow of his love. We cherish the memory of his grunts, words, and roars, and how he moved about, played in, and explored the world. Carrying Elliot thus in our own hearts, let us go now from this place in comfort and peace, assured that even in this time of loss and sorrow, life remains precious and good. May we also on this day rekindle in our hearts an appreciation for the gifts of the life and of other persons. Let us honor the life of Elliot by living ourselves more nobly and lovingly in the days ahead. As you return to the routines of your lives, dear friends, may the love and care of Elliot and all of us go with you.